That day, on a warm summer afternoon, I started getting ready to meet up at the little coffee shop in our small town. I felt a little thrill in me. I hadn't been out socializing in a long time. Even at 67, it was one of those rare times I felt as lively as I did back in my youth. I took my favorite dress out of the closet, a simple but elegant one with a bit of a neckline and back line ending right above my knees. I slipped into my heels and let my hair fall around my shoulders. Looking in the mirror, I saw a woman who wore her years proudly but still had a spark in her eyes. A little while later, the doorbell rang. I walked over slowly and opened it, and there they were. My nephew Liam and his best friend Alex. Liam, as usual, stood there tall and strong with that warm smile. Beside him, Alex seemed to just observe quietly in that cool, collected way. Right away, I could tell that Alex, whom Liam had been talking about for so long, had a certain charm of his own. "Hey Isabel," Liam said with that friendly grin of his, reaching out to give me a gentle hug. "So good to see you. And this here is Alex. Finally, you two get to meet." "Nice to meet you, Isabel," Alex said, reaching his hand out with a deep voice. When our hands met, I saw a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. This meeting clearly mattered to him too. "Nice to meet you, Alex," I smiled. "Come on in. Shall I make some tea?" "Oh, thank you, Isabel," Alex said, polite as ever. "But maybe we should just head straight to the coffee shop." Being around them had me feeling young again. I quickly grabbed my things, locked the door, and we started walking toward the town square to my favorite old coffee spot. On the way, Liam kept asking how I was, whether I needed help around the house. His care made me feel so grateful, but tonight something about it felt different. Once we were at the cafe, at one point Alex looked at me and said, "Isabel, Liam's told me so much about you, how much he loves you and everything you've done over the years. I've been looking forward to meeting you." I smiled back at him warmly. "Thanks, Alex. I've tried to make the most out of my life here in this little town. I guess folks of any age have something to share with each other, don't we?" After a little pause, Liam grinned and said, "Actually, Isabel, we had a bit of a plan tonight," winking at me. "I know you haven't been out much lately, so we want to take you up to the lookout point. The views are something else up there." I hesitated for a second, then smiled. "So you're trying to get me into an adventure, huh? All right then, why not?" We hopped in the car and headed to that beautiful hill just outside town. The whole ride was filled with jokes and laughter. Liam's funny stories kept us all cracking up. At one point, I glanced over at Alex, who had a small smile on his face but a thoughtful look in his eyes. Something about his presence gave me a strange mix of comfort and curiosity. When we got to the lookout point, the sun was setting. The sky was a blend of orange and pink tones, with the first stars starting to twinkle. It was mesmerizing. We stood there quietly, taking in the view, and in that silence, we seemed to feel each other's presence on a deeper level. After a bit, Alex moved closer, gently placing his hand on my shoulder. The touch sent a little rush through me. Meanwhile, Liam stood on my other side, his hands in his pockets, looking at me with that familiar ease. "Being here kind of makes you feel free, doesn't it, Isabel?" Liam asked, smiling. "Absolutely," I said, my eyes still on the horizon, though my mind was in a completely different place. Between Liam's familiar presence and Alex's mysterious, intriguing gaze, my feelings felt all tangled up. After a while, Alex didn't move his hand and instead leaned in a bit. "I'm glad we're sharing this moment," he murmured. Hearing those words, a warmth spread through me, but I also knew where I wanted to draw the line. "Wait," I said softly, though I wasn't quite ready to pull away. "This isn't right, but being here with you both, it's beautiful." Alex looked me right in the eyes and took a deep breath. "I know, Isabel," he said, "but it's about living in the moment, feeling things honestly." For a second we just looked at each other, and there was something unspoken there. I looked back at the horizon, but then slowly Alex reached out and let his fingers graze mine, just enough to feel the warmth of his hand. That gentle touch, that small gesture, felt like a quiet rush of all I'd missed over the years. This small but meaningful touch had me feeling the presence of both of them in a way I hadn't felt before. That night, in the cool air, I felt as alive and free as I had in years, sharing this moment with them. Just as it was when Alex's fingers grazed mine. It was the smallest touch, barely a whisper against my skin, but it sent a warmth through me, one I hadn't felt in a long time. The night air around us grew still, almost like it was waiting too, and in that quiet, I felt years melt away. Memories of younger days, of times when connections felt new and electric, rose up from somewhere deep within. I looked back out over the landscape, letting the peaceful view steady me. I'd been here countless times through seasons and storms, but somehow tonight it all felt different. I glanced over at Alex, and his gaze was soft, holding that quiet curiosity I'd noticed from the beginning. Without a word, he moved closer, shoulder brushing mine, steady and warm, anchoring me to the moment. Liam, noticing the shift, gave me a playful nudge. "You okay, Isabel?" he asked, his grin breaking the tension just a bit. "Yes, I'm fine," I replied with a smile, but my voice was soft, thoughtful. It's been a while since I shared a moment like this. There was a gentle silence between us, a shared understanding that didn't need words. Alex's fingers brushed mine again, this time a little more intentionally, and I found myself squeezing back, a small but undeniable connection forming between us. It wasn't even about attraction. It was about feeling seen, understood, as if somehow this unexpected encounter was breathing life back into me. The stars began to come out one by one as we stood there together, and I closed my eyes, breathing in the cool evening air. For a moment, it felt as if time had paused. No past, no future, just the three of us right here with the world stretching out in every direction, endless and open. Alex broke the silence with a quiet voice, barely above a whisper. "It's moments like these, you know? They remind you that life doesn't stop giving, even when you least expect it." I nodded, feeling a soft smile pull at my lips, and whispered back, "I think I'd forgotten that." As the last light faded, we turned to go back to the car, but something about that night lingered in the air. A gentle reminder that there's always room in life for new connections, new feelings, no matter how many years have gone by. And as we drove back, I let myself sink into the comfort of that thought, feeling something within me stir that I'd thought was gone forever.